I stim, you stim, we all stim, but what is stimming and is it exclusive to autism? I kind of just already answered this. No, stimming is not exclusive to autism, but we will get into that a little bit later. First, I want to talk about what stimming actually is. What is this so often talked about autistic trait that is actually not exclusive to autism? So if you've seen my autism series here on YouTube, you will already know that I am autistic. However, I used to think that I didn't really stim until I found this post on Instagram, which I will have linked for you in the description box, that talked about stimming, and more specifically it talks about different kinds of stims people might have that were maybe not the first thought about kind of stims. So basically it listed stims that you might not be aware about it, that they were actual stims. So later in this video I will actually be sharing some of my personal stims. However, before doing that, I just want to quickly touch on what stimming actually is. What is stimming? So stimming is short for self-stimulatory behavior or habits, and it's usually small repetitive behaviors or habits that someone uses to stimulate their senses, and that usually work calming to the person. So stimming can help to self-regulate, which basically means that it helps to manage and deal with sensory inputs as well as emotions or stress sometimes, and it's kind of related to it. It can also help to deal with expression of certain emotions. So it can sometimes communicate feelings of excitement, of happiness, or of stress, frustration, anxiety. And a very common form of stimming is it will help you to focus, and it's actually something that a lot of people do without really realizing it. So stimming can enhance concentration for some people, but it can also help to block out distractions. So most people know of stimming in relation to autism spectrum disorder, ASD. It is kind of a big part of the stereotype autistic person, I guess. And common examples are hand flapping, rocking, spinning, so basically just twirling around, headbanging, which is a little bit less harmless, I guess, than the other ones. So basically repeatedly hitting your head against a wall or some sort of object. Echolalia, which is repeating words or phrases. Finger flicking, like basically fast moving your fingers somewhere around your eyes. Tapping. You know that one, right? I think we all know a person that tends to do this. Pacing can also be a very common form of stimming, which is something that a lot of people do without really realizing it's a form of stimming. And then also vocal sounds, and this can be anything from humming, clicking with your tongue, or just repetitive sounds in general. So all of these things are done to help either express something that is within you that you don't really know how else to get it out of your body, or to soothe your nervous system. And that is something that basically everyone does. I don't think I have ever met a person that never stims. The thing is that we usually are not aware of them ourselves, and that if you don't really focus on them, it's very likely that you're not going to be aware of it at all. And like I said, it's something that everyone does. It is not exclusive to autism. However, autistic people are known to usually stim more often, more frequently, and maybe in slightly more visible or obtrusive ways. And in a way, it makes sense. The autistic brain works a little bit differently. Often, autistic people can have some difficulty expressing themselves. It is a communication disorder, as it's like categorized, yes. But also for a lot of autistic people, we are either more sensitive or less sensitive to certain stimuli. And if you think about it, it kind of makes sense that you would adopt behaviors to help you deal with that. So either trying to stimulate your senses, trying to feel something if you are undersensitive, or something that is going to help you to deal with or block certain sensory inputs if you are oversensitive. So thinking about it that way, it kind of makes sense that a lot of autistic people tend to use stimming a lot more frequently than maybe neurotypicals would. Alright, so we touched on what stimming is, a self-stimulating behavior. We touched on the fact that it is not exclusive to autistic people, that actually everyone stims, don't just always know it. So let's quickly take a look of stims that I personally have that I actually was not aware of were stims. I feel like sharing this might give you both insight, but it might also just be kind of fun and interesting to hear about them. So something that I do a lot is sucking on my front teeth, or moving tongue or like around, like along my teeth. This is something that I do very often without really realizing it, but it works calming for me. I also always need to be able to wiggle and spread my toes. This is something that I've always had. I always needed to be able to do this. If I cannot do this, I can actually get really almost anxious and kind of frustrated. So this is, again, I guess in a way soothing, but it's very much a must for me that I'm able to wiggle my toes and I'm able to spread my toes and kind of move my toes around in my shoes. So if I'm getting shoes, it is a must that there is enough space for me to do so. Then also something that I tend to do if I am kind of stressed is tapping my fingers, or just rubbing my fingers in general, like usually like along the nail bed, I guess. This is something that I usually do if I'm stressed or anxious or something. It just kind of helps to calm me down, and I think that's something that actually a lot of people do without really realizing it. Something else kind of related is I like to touch my necklaces. I always wear a necklace and have done so since I was a child. So I always make sure to have some sort of pendant that actually feels soothing to me, that has a texture that I enjoy rubbing or playing with. And that's something that's really soothing for me as well, which again is something that a lot of people do without really realizing it. Playing with rings can also be that. Maybe not as much for me, though I've noticed wearing more rings, I definitely do so more. I think that's something that a lot of people do without really realizing it. Something else is holding something cold against my forehead. Again, this is something that I've done since I was a child. I would just kind of lay my forehead against the cold glass of the window, of a door or something, and just sit there absorbing the cold into my forehead, and I love it. It feels so good. Again, it feels calming, it feels grounding, and this is actually a way of looking for the stimulation. Something else I tend to do is scrunching my nose, which my partner usually calls like my bunny nose. So kind of doing this or wiggling my nose. And also something that helps if I'm not able to do that because of a social situation, just kind of pressing my finger against the bridge of my nose really can help to kind of get rid of need to do that almost. Something else is what I call kwispelen, which like is the Dutch word for like tail wagging in dogs. I guess this is basically just rocking like back and forth. For me, there's usually like a little going up and down motion in there as well. This is something that I'm very often not aware of, that I am actually doing this. Pretty much just happens when I'm sitting down on a chair, and usually when I'm eating something that I enjoy, but honestly I can do that at any time. And I don't know why I'm doing it, it's just something that happens without me realizing it usually. But for the people around me, if they know me really well, usually they will know like, oh, she's eating something, she's enjoying something, and I'll start doing this. And then something else, again, I've done this since I was a child, which is actually the case for most of these, is what I like to kind of call my bird sound. And it's basically this little squeaky noise that I can make in my throat by kind of constricting my breath out. I don't even know if you're going to be able to hear this on camera. Probably not. It's a very, very small little squeaky noise, and it very much helps to calm me down. Also, if I am making this noise and I'm not able to hear it, it can get so frustrating for me. I need to be able to hear it. If I'm not able to hear it, usually that means that I'm in a surrounding that is too noisy for me, and that I can actually pretty quickly get to the point of overstimulation, and if I'm really unlucky, meltdown. So You could say it's almost a test, but it's also calming if I am able to do this and hear it. Yeah, kind of a weird little thing, but there we go. So let me know, do you stim? What are your stims? I would actually love to hear about them in the comments from you. Do you have anything to add to this video? Something that maybe you missed or you would like other people to know about? Please let me know. Let's chat in the comments. Let's connect. Maybe share this video if you feel like this might be helpful for someone you know. Give it a thumbs up if it was helpful for you or you enjoyed it. And with that said, I wish you a lovely rest of your day and I will see you in my next video. Bye!